Alright, welcome guys to a new video. Today I'm gonna talk about whatever it's gonna come in the next update for the Lord of the Rings mod for Hearts of Iron 4. So we will be starting off with the Chiefdom of Arthedain. I've always had a more interest in this part of the map for some reason. Angmar and Arthedain, love those countries and the lore behind them. So I started working on Arthedain. First of all, what I did is work on the generic part of Focus Tree, which was still the generic boring part that you would see in other counters like Lindon or Rudar or a lot of countries. So I wanted to take a look at that and change that in a custom one. So I did that. This is the result of that for the custom focuses. I have put some things in there. I took away the air part though, since that isn't really important in our mod, so I thought it wouldn't be really relevant. We might overview and rework the air at some point, I don't know, no promises there. And we can always add an air part to this focus tree then, but for now it's without air. It does have an army part over here, which is mostly resource bonuses with a few national spirits to gain. One of those is the Rangers of the North, which is a spirit you gain. Of course, the Rangers are a big thing of Arthedain, well known. And the most known Ranger, of course, was Erebor himself. So this national spirit gives you bonuses for your special forces, your attack bonus, defense, and so on. Which is, of course, applied to your Ranger types, which Arthedain, I believe, is the only country which starts with Rangers. Which is a research man can research, of course. So here we have a few folks that give you research bonuses. This one, and this one, more on the last one later, improves on that national spirits, increases the bonuses that you get from it. This is a research agreement. You will see another one here, but then for Gondor, they get an event and they accept or deny, and both get resources if they accept it, of course. The chances of them accepting is mostly based on opinion and that kind of stuff. Generally, they will accept unless you're at war with them, of course, then they won't accept it. And we have here Glory of to Arnor, which gives you a nice little bonus natural spirit, which you can only do once you have got rid of the Broken Kingdom, which is, of course, that was already in the game, that national spirit that you start with, and what you get rid of if you reunite Arnor. Furthermore is the more industrial part, which is pretty much the rest of it, with an exception of 3 navy focuses over here. Well, there are kind of 2 parts of it. We have this area here, where you have to choose to either lean towards the Rangers or lean towards the farmers. The Rangers, leaning to the Rangers will of course increase a lot of military related things, like gives you military factories. It gives you resource bonuses based on archery and Rangers, so military related, as well as army XP. And it will give you an extra general, which is this one over here, which once again gives you a boost for special forces. And the other side is the farmers. Lean for farmers, it gives you more civilian factory bonuses, of course. Gives you more for the farms, for the food production, and gives you a nice national spirit in the end. This does give you a debuff on war sport, although it's not major. And gives you a lot of buffs on the production, efficiency, and growth. Furthermore, both give you a population boost. So this one gives you an alignment boost, and this one gives you revolutionaire, which can be useful depending on which spec you go down on. And not forget, this one also unlocks an advisor, which is a good old Rupert, which is this dude over here, which gives you political power debuff of 5%, but also consumer goods factories -5, stability boost, base fuel gain, of course food. I am using another mod for the icons, so therefore it's overruled and says base fuel, but should still say base food gain. And civilian factory plus 10%, which is quite a boost you can have. Then you have those focuses here, which just gives you a few nice little rewards on completing all the focuses, like military factories, civilian factories, some steel. Once again, a nice little national focus. National focus that gives you a boost on construction efficiency growth. Pretty much the same as this one, to be honest. research slots, since you only start with 2 research slots, which is relatively low amount, so it's nice to be able to get another one. And a bit more factories. And here this one gives you more infrastructure, and this one builds on the puppets, all the puppets you have. So you start of course with only the Shire. So next I want to change the political side of it. Political side of course was changing to another government, was really simple and easy, like the good old fashioned. Hire the right advisor, just be patient, and then hold a referendum. So I wanted to change that up a little bit, to improve on that, to make it a little bit less boring, a bit more interactive, and a bit more its own mechanic. So let's go and do that for a second. I'm gonna cheat a little bit to speed that focus up. So you start with the fate of Arthedain. Then you can go down the 3 paths, of course, which on the line is still nothing. It's not worked out. It will be at some point, I promise. But not this update, sorry guys. We have the force the new path, which is of course the one for the revolutionary, and we have support the monarchist, which is the cooperative path, and the one to reinstate Arnor, as you guys are already familiar with. So once I have done that, completed that focus, you unlock the following decisions. This is the new way of changing government, becoming cooperative. So the decisions you can take, the top 3 are just different ways of getting support, which either cheap but has loss of stability, expensive but you gain stability, and this one is in between. It is also boost more cooperative but you lose stability. So a little variety between those decisions, but nothing major. And then you have the last one, which can only be taken once but does boost it a lot, since it doesn't only add cooperative, it also takes away an alignment and stability. And it also retires 2 of your generals, which are, I can show you. Can I open those both too? Yeah, I can. So you lose Aronsorn, which is this fellow, and you lose Ventern, which is this fellow. If I pronounced that correctly, probably not. I'm sorry for that. I did my best. So those 2 generals you will lose. That's the cost of it, but it does boost a lot, makes it a lot quicker, so it might be worth it, since you still keep a few other generals as well. So while you do this, and I might as well show you actually a sample. While you do this, certain events will show up with certain consequence. Gathering of the public, for example, which is a positive one, which gives you stability and political power. Or unrest in the capital of Fornost, which gives you, well, you lose stability and political power. There's another one of those events, which gives you stability, war support, but also boost in alignment. And a few others that do that as well. I'm not gonna show them all, but you probably get the point. So you're gonna have to be, like, quote unquote fighting against those events by using those decisions to get more cooperative and not have the unalignment win. While you do that, you have a few focus to take as well, which boost the cooperative or take away alignment as well. And you got political campaign to get a little bit in boost in power, political power, which is always nice, especially since you need it right now during this mechanic for those decisions to get your cooperative boosted. Well, so let's assume you become cooperative, you reinstate the monarch, and you have a few folks here. Those are all, they were already in the game. Nothing big there, a few new icons over here. Maybe you noticed, maybe you don't. Now we know. I did change a few things about those events. So we are in the code here. So what I changed to a few of those events are a few things. First of all, this is the wrong event. This one. So first of all, you get the responsive event now as well. So Arthedain gets the event if they either joined the faction or not. So you know that, you don't have to look at the maps to see, of just good practice, of course. Furthermore, as you can see here, well, you probably don't know how code works, but that's how code works, now you know. The opinion also matters now, so if you higher than 75 opinion, or well, technically if they have a higher opinion of you than 75, then the chance of them accepting is also higher. So I added a few more of those checks to make it so that you have a bit more influence in the AI making a decision to either join you or not with all the requests you do. Since you do a lot, of course. You have, of course, the request for mutual defense pact to join the faction and the annexation. And all of those have been improved on, that they are more influenced by opinion, by if they have a non-aggression pact, by what path they go down, what government they have, so on, so on. Alright, furthermore, I have added the following national spirits, which you start with. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but he was the last High King of Arnor. So I thought it was fitting to have him get his legacy spirit. A bit similar to, which probably doesn't have it, no, of course it doesn't. The Isildur's legacy you get with Gondor. This spirit will be removed once you go down the Force a New Path focus, and it will be improved on if you go down the United Kingdom of Arnor, adding an attack and defense boost on your core territorium through the national spirit. How those annexations work are a bit different as well, since now they either accept or deny, and you get informed by an event. But if they have denied, you have a focus to get a oracle instead of instantly to the event. And you can still gain cores, no matter what happens on the event. Normally, in base game before this update, you either get cores if they accepted it right away to the event, or you didn't get core, which is a bit, well, it sucked, obviously. So now that has been changed, now you can always do it through the focus. Of course, it does mean that you have to take the land, otherwise you can't get core, but that speaks for itself, I believe. If they're a puppet, you can do it either. Only do it if you have them annexed. And it takes 70 days, I think that is more than fair. Another thing that I've been adding, which is almost the last thing for Arthedain, is those two focuses. If Gondor doesn't go down the Isildur path, it can, Arthedain can then get Erebor as their leader themselves, which has been added now officially, which just gives Erebor as leader with the same traits, which are quite nice traits. So, and after that you have a focus that you can take Gondor as a revenge in your way to get and reinstate the kingdom of Arnor and Gondor together once more, as it was always meant to be. So real quick, if you go down the Force a New Path focus, you also have access to this focus, but you also have those decisions. Just like in a cooperative, you have certain decisions you can take to boost your popularity in whatever direction you want to go. Which, in the case of going belligerent or revolutionary, are a bit of different focuses of decisions. You have retire the Rangers, which just gives you a removal of an alignment, but besides that it's the same. You have this one, which gives you a boost in revolutionary and belligerent instantly. You have this one, which boosts belligerent for a while. This one boosts revolutionary for a while. This one gives you an instant boost in revolutionary, and this one gives you a random belligerent country, an event. They agree, as you can see. Your opinion will improve and your belligerent popularity with 10%, which is quite nice. To mention that as well, I've added as much as of those tooltips as possible. So if anywhere, mostly in Angmar, that is relevant, that once they accept, you can see, for example, what happens if they accept. Here in Excel, the following will happen if they accept. I'm trying to add that as much as possible because that's just good practice, right? It's nice to know what will happen if they either accept or deny before you just fire a random event that took 70 days and just opinion are improved or whatever. You don't want that. So now you should know most of the things. With an exception, for example, invite Caroline, the title is what will happen if they accept. I mean, the tooltip wouldn't really be relevant at that point, I think. So I don't add it to those. Last but not least, we have changed the chief advisors a little bit. Well, a little bit, completely. I have removed the advisors that just boost your certain government and give you decisions to switch, since now we have the new mechanic, of course. We do have added a few others as well, like the chieftain of Arthedain is himself now possible to be selected as chief advisor. Political ranger, so you debuff in political gain, but boost in attack and defense. We have Ebot Duerg, which is for the belligerent if you get belligerent. You have Baines for if you get revolutionary. You have Joe Linwood for if you become cooperative. And we have the good old Butterbird, which is of course already in the movies and books, has now been added to the mod. You can only select them if you have Bree in control, if you're Arthedain, and if you're start as Carolon, Remnant of Carolon. I don't know, man. Don't look at me. If you start as that country, you already have him unlocked, and you can just select him. So on to the changes to Angmar, which are the few changes. They're not that big. We have added a new path to go down to if you're cooperative. So you now can go down the Republic of Angmar. And once you do that, you will unlock Balance of Power. I'm blurring out everything that doesn't have a name. I'm probably not gonna blur it out, it's too much effort. But you saw it before, like this one doesn't have a name either. I'm gonna fix that once this video is over, but for now, just act like it has a name. Act like there's balance of power. Power balance, whatever you can call it. I don't know. Oh, I might edit that. Whatever. Anyhow, so once you go down the path of the Republic of Angmar, you unlock this balance of power, which is all about bringing balance to giving your government too much power of your army, which is both sides have boosts. Of course, the army side have boost for, well, your army, either on attack, defense, football population, and your government have boost on your construction and consumer goods and so on. And of course debuffs, things that war related, like experience gain and war support, and here it's on construction itself, political power. This balance can be changed by certain things happening in the world, declaring wars and events will pop up and will change the balance, but you always have access to these decisions to change it yourself, or well, to influence it yourself, which are always on their own also something that as an reward. Back to the focus tree, so there are a few new focuses to complete once you go down the Republic of Angmar. You also got a whole new area here with focuses that you can complete either going down the new Arnor path or the Republic of Angmar. Once again, a good example of an event without a name. Woo! But also a good example of a tooltip on what will happen if they accept. I'm too scared to hover over anything because I'm afraid there's no text, so I'm just not gonna do that. Yeah, that seems legit. Sharing is caring is an event that will request resources from Mirkwood, or well, rights to resources in Mirkwood. And everyone is welcome in the Republic. Like if you have control of Gundobad and the Vales of Anduin, or at least the upper part of the Vales of Anduin, you will be able to get cores of that territory. I'm just going to quickly go over to a few other focuses that have been added, so like change in government, which gives you a little cooperative boost. Your new focus in the industry part. You have the cult of the Witch King as well now as a choice if you go down this path. And a few focus to gain more war goals against other countries. One thing to also be noted, when you go cooperative, you now have this dude, which means that you don't have access to the decisions to change your government. You're now reliant on the natural spirits, this dude, and like I said, the focuses, which has been added another one to boost it a little bit faster. So with Gondor, there are no major changes or whatever. I'm probably gonna edit the change log somewhere in the screen right now. But I've changed a few things. I've used some new icons to make it a bit more prettier. And other things that have been fixed and corrected. One of the bigger things that have been corrected is once you go down this path and halfway through Aragorn died, then you had to go, I believe it's this focus or this one. No, I think it's this one. If you complete this one, you continue on this path once Aragorn is dead. But it was a bit tough because you still had the Isildur Legacy, which boosts cooperative and stuff. Now that is fixed, that spirit will be removed, you get a little boost, so that should all be fine now. Made a few improvements on the AI, on how they do focuses, the decisions they make, so they be hopefully they're a bit smarter. I have also added this focus filter to make a bit more clear on which focuses remove on Denethor Paranoia, reduce Denethor's Paranoia. And I also added this focus to reduce it in general. And then last but not least, the changes that have been made. I have a whole list of changes that aren't specific to one country, but just a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna quickly go through those. Probably gonna add them those in the screen somewhere as well. Maybe not. It will be a bit awkward if not. So starting them off with the following change that has been made to the Suggest War with Gondor focus. Since that one would have been relatively rushed and that sucks. So we changed that, or well, I've added a world tension requirement, so you have to have at least 20% of world tension. Hopefully that makes it a bit tougher to rush it too much. There's been a few changes to the generic tree, mostly related to how the AI moves through it. The ring corruption, it was used to be like a balance of power thingy, but it has been moved to the decision tab. Can I show that? Ring sees. I can show that. Cool. Don't mind that. That's gonna be changed. Just don't look at it. You're gonna blur it away. Don't mind. So it's now here within decisions instead of within the balance of power, and that way the balance of power mechanic can be used for various other things instead by any country, instead of it not being able to do that since it was used for the ring corruption mechanic. Added focus filter, yeah, so Lothlorien in the previous update added those focus filters for certain government types. Those have now been implemented in various other focus trees as well, as you might have noticed. For example, Arthedain or Angmar themselves also has those filters, and Gondor and so on. Next is that Erebor helping Moria has now been changed a bit as well. So going back to the code, and an extra check for 50% opinion and an extra check for 75 opinion has been added as well. So depending on what Erebor thinks of Moria, the chances of them helping is higher. As well for equipment sending, but as well for manpower sending. Last but not least, Erebor has also gained also a few changes, since Erebor has had multiple people telling me it looks terrible. So I'm fixing that. It now looks like this. Or has received some improvements as well. No big changes, or well, maybe one big change. The air pad you could go down here, like with 4 focuses, I believe, has been replaced with those 3 focuses. More on that in a minute. The reason I did that, someone mentioned it, that air, you don't have access to air as oh, I'm not even as Erebor. Here you go. You don't have access to air as the dwarves. You only have that as men or orcs. So having those focuses were quite literally useless. So that was a bit stupid, and that has been changed. We now have focus on the strings. It gives you bonuses and army experience. Mines of Erebor, it gets you more mithril, so that's always nice, and more research. And this one gives you more research bonuses as well, mostly all related to the secret dwarven research. So that was the biggest change. Besides that, I've made a few other changes. Things like political effort now changes your law as well. So the 35 days aren't for nothing. Fate of Deal also gives you volume boost, so it does feel like it does more, but in the end does it really? But it feels less useless for 35 days. Unite with Gondor now has the focus. Normally it just instantly added you to the Gondor faction, which made no sense of course, so now it's properly done through an event. A few improvements here, new icon added, since those were still tanks, which doesn't really fit the theme of Lord of the Rings, does it? Those also have been changed to 35 days instead of 70, since they only give small resource bonuses, which would have been a bit stupid for 70 days. Who the fuck does that? So a lot of small changes here and there, but nothing major. So that was it for all the changes in this update. I hope you liked it. Speaking of likes, drop a like down there, you know how it goes. Sub if you want to see more, and let me know what you think of this video template. I might do it for every coming update if people liked it, and if people are not interested. This was the first and last time you ever saw me on YouTube.